Hello, class. Please come in, have a seat. Yes, there are plenty of seats open for you. Please go ahead and pick whatever seat is comfortable. I prefer if you sat, somewhere far away from your friends so that you can pay attention to me because I am the most important person here, your professor. Okay? Okay. Give me 1 second here as I write down a few notes before we start class here. Yes, the class will be sponsored. Yeah, okay. So, good morning, class. Welcome to Pride Etiquette 101, the most important class of any semester of any year. So, my name is Professor Basil, and I'm here to talk to you about Pride Etiquette. Now, I know a lot of you are here. You're either new to the scene, you're new to being queer in some capacity, or you don't even know what LGBTQ means, or anything like that. But don't worry, this class covers everything that you might need to know, all of the etiquette as to what you might need to do, what you might need to not do during Pride parades, during Pride events, what's expected of you, and that sort of deal, okay? Okay, so for this class, we are going to go over some basics as to who I am. Why am I leading this course, right? There's plenty of people who aren't sort of your typical gay man that would lead this course, but why am I most qualified to do this at this time? Yeah, so I'm going to talk about the syllabus. Syllabus, of course, is very important, and every first class, I think, students tend to expect us to just go over the syllabus, but we're not just going to go over the syllabus. That's what the best teachers and also the most annoying teachers tend to do. Of course, we're going to talk about attendance at Pride, what to expect, that sort of thing. I'm just going to go over some of the basics for today. Well, obviously, this is going to be covered throughout the entirety of the course, so we're not going to go into very specific, very intense specifics, but instead we're just going to go over the overarching ideas that we're going to touch upon, okay? Okay, and then of course, I'm not going to touch upon this later, but there is going to be a group project in the middle of, in the middle of the course. It's a very, I've taught this course, a few times at this point, and every time I kick myself because I don't give you guys a group, group project, and then I don't get to see the drama unfold between you guys. And, as queer people, we tend to elicit a lot of drama. There's a lot of heightened feelings, a lot of emotions, and I really relish in watching you guys just sort of flounder. So it is going to be assigned groups. I'm going to put the most incompatible people together. It's for your own personal development, okay? So you really don't have to worry too much about being paired with your friends or anything like that. They're never going to know that you're actually a procrastinator and that you don't do well in school. Instead, you're going to be with people you've never heard of who are going to get really mad at you, and you're just going to get into a lot of really big fights. But, I live for that. So, and then, of course, we're going to talk, very importantly, the core of any Pride event, which is our corporate donors. We can't live without our corporate donors, and if I don't say that, I might disappear in the future. So, corporate donors, amazing. And of course, we're going to talk about drinking. Pride events are known to be very, heavy drinking spaces. But as time has gone on, we've realized that perhaps, it's a bit hostile to people who are sober, to people who don't want to drink, or people who don't want to just, provide, imbibe in toxins within their body. But you know what? We'll touch upon that in a second. Okay. Okay. So, any questions so far, class? I see a few hands raised. I'm gonna need you guys to put those hands down. You raised them a little too queerly, a little too gaily, so we'll talk about that later. Okay, so basics. So, like I said, my name is Basil. I'm a gay man. I've been a gay man for a very long time, and I've been out for even longer. So there is no need to worry. I am part of the community. In terms of class credits, you will be getting 3 hours of course credit, so we're expected to have at least 3 hours of outside classwork, homework, as you would say, outside of this class. So of course we meet for 1 hour 3 times a week. Now, of course, just because we give you 3 hours of class credits and we expect you to only work for 3 hours outside of class, that doesn't mean that I'm going to assume that you have other classes. Instead, what I'm going to assume is that you have plenty of time, maybe too much time to work on this class and this class only, and this class will be your only priority in my mind. So if you fall below those expectations, I'm going to be sorely disappointed. Now, of course, I just want to touch a little bit on the importance of pride. Pride is incredibly important, and it's the backbone of our community. We want to be who we are, and we are proud of who we are. Now, of course, it's almost equally important, if not more important, to allow corporations to participate in our pride, because we are nothing without our corporate overlords. And if they don't sponsor our prides, then where are we going to get those advertisements? Where are we going to get people who exploit us? Right? It's truly a push and pull. And without corporate pride, then how are we going to know that 1 in a million queer people might be like a billionaire, and then that's representation, isn't it? Anyway, I rest my case. Now you might think there's some criticisms to be had about this, right? Like, oh, corporations don't really care about queer people, they just care about making a profit. It's sort of it's furthering the capitalist hellscape that we're currently living in, yada yada. I think that is it's a bit much. Calm down is what I would say. I would say, let's take it one step at a time. A good thing is a good thing. There's no need to overthink it. And you can trust me because I'm me, and I know how to do all of this, and I am your professor, so I must be right and you must be wrong. Okay, so any questions now? No questions. Okay, very good, very good. You're catching on very quickly. Okay, so let's move on to the syllabus, shall we? Okay, so this, as you all know, is going to be a 52-week course. Yes, that's right. It's 52 weeks. That's because, being out and being proud is a year-long endeavor. It is not only for one course. So it's going to be 52 weeks, and of course you can resubscribe, or I do mean, of course, retake the course every year. It's a continuing education sort of thing, and so it's a consistency thing, and it's incredibly important. I fought very hard to get the 52 week. They didn't think it was possible, but anything's possible. Now, of course, this class is going to be in person only. We do not Zoom. We do not Skype. We do not AI. Nothing about that. All we're doing is in person. We need you here, and that's because I can't judge your fits if you're not here, right? And it's truly one of the pleasures of society is to see you in person and potentially inflict emotional pain, and as well as even like infectious diseases onto you simply by being present near each other, right? So it's a right that I have, and of course, to be in this class, this is something that I fought against, actually, but you do have to be out. Now, one of the really annoying things about Western society is that we tend to think that, being out is probably the most important thing, more important than potentially even being safe, right? But and I tried to fight it, but the more that I thought about it, the more that I was like, yeah, you really should put yourself in danger so that you could be proud of yourself, instead of finding a safe place to be and making sure that you are in a safe position. No, who needs to do that? No. And of course, we're going to touch upon within the syllabus and within these courses, we're going to touch upon flag designs. Everybody's going to design their own flag. They're going to come up with their own identity, and it's going to be a very, very fun time. It tends to be very fun. A nice little breather on the general, pride going events that we're going to be going to a lot of pride events. Oh, don't you worry. And of course, there's going to be 2 to 7 textbooks that you're going to have to purchase. 2 is the bare minimum, 7 is the maximum. If you buy the 2 textbooks, they're all written by me, by the way. I'm an author as well. Thank you very much. And what I'm going to do is, if you buy the 2 textbooks now, you will get a 1% discount on the other 5 textbooks that you're going to need. But if you don't buy them right now, instead there is going to be a 100% increase on the price. So just keep a lookout. It is going to be important, and if you don't buy those extra 5 textbooks, you are going to be a bit behind in class. But it's really you can make it harder for yourself. That's I don't tell you what to do here. Okay, so that is the syllabus. Again, I will ask, is there any questions? No, I didn't think so. Now let us talk about attendance at Pride, shall we? Overall, we, over this 52-week course, are going to discuss every single point of these in detail, but to give you a brief overview as to what we're going to discuss here and something that you need to keep in mind, every Pride event starts with pregame, right? Now, like I said before, corporations, especially alcohol, alcohol businesses have really got a chokehold within the queer community in some way. So, if you go to a pregame of some kind, that's almost mandatory. Some form of drug is also pretty popular. It's really just part of the culture, destroying yourself in some capacity because you want to free yourself from the shackles of society is kind of important in this. Now, of course, if you are sober, if you do abstain, people will judge you, and it's honestly kind of insulting to everybody involved. So, we're welcoming to everybody, but you have to drink, of course. So, now, one of the other things is that after the pregame, we do really, really support public transit, and that's because we want to be menaces to society a little bit, right? So, during Pride events, we want to, be everywhere. We want to be in public as many places as possible, and public transit is one of the best places to do it, especially if you're very loud. I think it's very important to be loud in public places and in public transit, especially if people are tired, if people have been overworked due to their jobs of some capacity, or if they just haven't had time, especially if you find a queer person that's not at Pride, but is instead coming back from work. That is the prime time to assault them with your words and with your with cheery words. We're not talking about any form of actual assault. We're talking about words of encouragement. Yes, it might be very annoying, but it's very effective at making them feel bad. Okay, and of course, we're going to talk a little bit about the environment in the sense that we're very big fans of glitter. Microplastics are, throughout Pride events. Pride events are the one place that we do not believe in microplastics anymore. And so we sort of throw open the door to all of the glitter. Glitter bombs are a thing. Put glitter in your Speedos, put glitter in your bras, put glitter all over your body, wherever you want it. And to make sure it can stick, of course. So, use some form of lubricant, glue, something. But glitter is incredibly, incredibly important. And we're going to touch upon, I think it's multiple weeks within this course, we're going to talk about all the different types of glitter, which one stays within your bloodstream the most, because you can, I think you are more queer the more plastic you have inside of you. Yes, a corporation told me to say that. And then, of course, let's talk about the screaming. I don't know what it is in Pride events, but there is sort of these guttural screams that end up coming out from a lot of people that, it might spook the more timid-natured among us. And I will say that the timid-natured they must simply get used to it, because it's within our nature to scream. It's almost like, it's almost like we're being possessed. By our queer ancestors. And of course, let's talk a little bit about karaoke, bars, board games. Yes. So, one of the things that happens at Pride events after the event is over, after, you've gone through whatever, sort of like the walk, of the parade in some capacity, or the floats and whatnot. You go see the floats. What people tend to do is they either go to bars if they're drinking. If they're not drinking, they can go to a board game event or a board game place to sort of play some board games and whatnot, or they can go do some karaoke, and sometimes they do all three, sometimes they do just a few of them. And, you know, it's mainly because we want to tell corporations that we still pay them and we still care about them, right? So that's one of the ways that we do that, is by, you know, giving them our hard-earned money, that even if they care or they don't care about us, we need to give them our money, okay? Okay, so that is attendance at Pride. Something that's not mentioned here that we will touch upon is the purchasing of a flag. You need to purchase a flag that best identifies with you, of course, and bring it to the event. But crucially, we want to make sure that you do not iron it, right? You want to make sure that all the wrinkles are in the flag, just so that people know just how little effort you put into the flag itself. Okay? All right. So, all right, next we're going to have a whole section. This is going to be 12 weeks within the course. It's going to be about our corporate donors. We're going to go over every single corporate donor that we have here at Pride or at different Pride events. But something to keep in mind, you must always respect them. I think that they do such good work, and they're honestly the backbone of our society. You know, the first stone thrown at Stonewall, I think, was... I think it was Gucci. I think that's what they said. So, yeah, definitely don't look that up. So, with that, you also want to make sure that because they are corporations, we are going to touch upon their interests, which is profit, right? So we want to give them reason, we want to give them profit to stay. Otherwise, they'll leave because they don't necessarily care about us, but we want them to care about us because we seek their approval. Because otherwise, how will we, you know, how will we embark upon this like lie that is capitalism? It's really, you know, it's a very brutal system that we need to make sure that we are on top of. Yeah. And then, of course, if there's a Pride event that is without any corporate donors, without any corporate Pride, say it's a community event for queer people, you know, hosted by queer people, for queer people, no sponsors, purely from the community, you want to steer clear from that. Because nothing good can come from that, you know, thoughts and ideas from queer people, you know, with no reason and for no rhyme or reason, you know, what thoughts might they have if not for profit? You know, no. See, the nice thing about corporate donors is that you know what they care about, which is profit. Who knows what queer people care about? Other queer people? You know, the health and well-being of their friends and family? No, that's too sinister. Okay. So, and of course, lastly, we are going to talk about, within this course, drinking and you. I did touch upon it earlier, but Pride is a very, you know, drink-heavy event. Of course, this has lessened over time as more and more people have abstained from drinking in some capacity. And, you know, the alcoholic corporations tend to not take kindly to that kind of offense, right? So a part of this course is to help push you towards not towards starting drinking again. No. It's mainly so that you have an understanding of how much of a chokehold they have us in, and so that you have to understand that you have to at least pretend, right? You have to drink water as if it's shots, you know, have some mocktails. And of course, all of these alcoholic companies do have, you know, non-alcoholic beverages, non-alcoholic versions. They may taste terrible and they don't do anything for you. But you may as well give them money, right? It's all about the profit. At the end of the day, it's all about the profit when it comes to this. So you just have to make sure to think about that, you know, because really Pride is about that. Okay, so with that, I'm going to take any questions, any concerns that anybody may have. Okay, you're worried about it being a 52-week course. Well, listen, if you are unable to, you know, if you're unable to stay here if you're unable to sort of go through the course. You are free to drop out. Now, you can, of course, drop out and have it not be on your record within the first few hours of being in the course, which I think has already passed. Afterwards, you can drop out, but it'll be an automatic F. So you may as well just stay here and learn. Yeah, I think that would be my main recommendation for you. Yeah, any other questions? Yes, you over there? You're a little worried as sort of like a sober person. Okay, well, like I said, I think it is incredibly, brave and important, the work that you're doing and being sober. And we do not want to touch upon that, and we do not want to put that in jeopardy. But Pride is a very hostile but also very welcoming event. And so we want to make sure that you understand that sometimes, particularly the big Pride events, can sometimes be very, let's just say, very drinking heavy. And so we're just, we want you to pay respects to the corporate overlords, right? Because just because you're sober, it doesn't mean you can't pay respects to the corporate overlords. That's really what this is all about. Okay. Okay, anything else? Okay, well, next week, we're actually going to meet at the first Pride event that's happening downtown. Yes, if you're not in attendance, you will fail the course, as I said before. So make sure you get there. Make sure to pregame first. And we will be checking pregame. So, all of the drinks, both alcoholic and non-alcoholic, will be provided by Absolute Vodka. So you will go ahead and there's microchips in there and then sort of identification, so that we'll be able to bring up a little light, look inside your mouth, and be able to tell if you drank some of it. So it's actually very important that you do that. Otherwise, you might fail the course. Okay. Okay. Well, with that, I will see you guys next week. Okay. Have a great week. Okay. Bye bye.